Hi, I'm MrByZ, and I managed to pick up a couple more Last Jedi Hasbro items that were leaked out today. I got 6 figures, plus the A-Wing and the Probot. I'm going to do these in 2 separate review videos. I'll start with the action figures first, and then I will move on to the 2 vehicles, well, vehicle and Probot set that I bought. And if you're wondering, yes, I'm in the midst of my collection that's being packed up and ready for an eventual move whenever it happens, if we can find a house that we can finally settle on here. So here are the figures that I managed to pick up today. I'm going to go through each one individually here, but what I wanted to start off with was packaging and comparative to what we've had before. This is, of course, the Last Jedi figure carded compared to Rogue One. You can see, I mean, the card as high as it goes up is about the same there, but the Rogue One definitely went up further, and as far as width, they are much smaller there too. I'm wondering, I don't have any of the 6-inch Black Series carded figures out here for me to test this with, but I'm wondering how close these cards are to the Black Series figures. These are definitely much smaller cards. I've also noticed, I know we've seen this before, I don't know if you can pick it up in the video here, there's a little bit of tape on each one of these on the bubble onto the card. I don't know if they started just doing this after that whole fiasco with the Black Series figures that were falling off the cards or what. But let's just dive in and take a look at these figures. So let's start with Luke Skywalker. This is the figure we all wanted from Force Awakens. We're finally getting it here as a Last Jedi release. I like the card art. Obviously, it's what we saw from the end of Force Awakens here. As for the back, there's not much information. It talks about the Force Link. Just really, that's it. There's no real information about the character or anything. Just talks about Force Link and a little bit how it works. And then warnings and patent information and all that. This is one of the most boring back of cards I think I've ever seen. But let's dive into the figure. This is what we're really here to see. So let me open him on up. So again, we have a little flyer about Force Link inside. I've covered this pretty well in previous reviews, so I'm not even going to worry about that. Let's get right to the figure. So here we have it. It's a decent likeness. I can see a little bit of old Mark Hamill in there. This is definitely better from some of the stuff we saw. I wouldn't say in the past few years. It seems like the past few years has been pretty good. Some of the first 5 POA stuff that we were getting about 4 or 5 years ago, it's not very good. So we're getting good likenesses here. His cloak does come off. It's not pinned to him like it was in the movie. So we can see a little bit more detail here. He has his robotic hand, which is a nice touch there. He has his hand like he could hold a saber. He does not come with a lightsaber, so it's still a mystery if he'll use a lightsaber or not, as the Black Series figure from San Diego also did not come with a lightsaber. I find it also interesting, this belt kind of reminds me of Obi-Wan Kenobi from A New Hope. Articulation, much to be expected. It's 5 POA. Hips, shoulders, and head. I would say it's a nice figure. It's definitely one that we were looking forward to, so I'm really glad to pick this up. Then I go to Poe Dameron here next. Card, again, very much like Luke. I do like this artwork again, but biggest reason I want to go through him is I have the Force Awakens figure that we can compare him to see how many differences there are. So we have here Last Jedi Poe Dameron and Force Awakens Poe Dameron, so we can really compare these two. The mold is the same mold. I know a lot of people said that except for the head. We definitely have a new and better head sculpt of Poe Dameron. It looks a lot more like Oscar Isaac's here than this one did. And we're seeing more paint detail too. If you look at the chest box, the Last Jedi one definitely has more paint detail to it. The shade of orange is slightly different. And then the gray that they used for the straps and that is also a little bit different. Just flip them over, see if there's much difference on the back. I don't see any. One thing I'm gonna, there's actually more detail on the jumpsuit. There's a texture to it. I see that there. I would say on the Last Jedi figure, it looks like this was, this sounds crazy, but this was taken from the original mold, like they made the mold, and this was like the mold of the mold, you know, like we've seen with, when people make bootlegs and such, where the mold doesn't come out with as much detail, because it's definitely the same mold. It has wrinkles in the same place, you know, pieces are all in the same place, but this Last Jedi figure definitely has a lot more detail to it. You can even see some of that detail on the flight suit here. So I don't know if they went back and added that or what, but I find that very interesting that while it's the same mold, it's definitely updated with detail. And as far as accessories, the helmets are the same, although the new one is a much darker black. Otherwise, they look the same. And then the guns are the same, they're just different colors. Just as I was about to put this figure away, I realized something. He has wrist articulation. His wrists actually swivel here, so that's a nice addition to see. So it's not entirely the exact same mold. Next, we'll move on to Kylo Ren, of course, our baddie for the movie. So let's go to Kylo Ren. I'll try to get a nice close-up of his face detail here. It looks good. Obviously, the costume is a little bit different from what we had in Force Awakens. In fact, I have a Force Awakens Kylo Ren here. We put them side by side, and you can see there's huge differences. In fact, the new Last Jedi Kylo Ren kind of reminds me of something more from Monty Python or like Robin Hood or something like Sheriff of Nottingham from Robin Hood. The lightsabers are basically the same. One's a little darker than the other, but they look the same here. If we take the cape off of Kylo, see what it looks like underneath. He does not have wrist articulation. I did check that. It's a very interesting outfit. Like I said, it still reminds me of Sheriff of Nottingham from like the Costner movie from the 90s. Still, looks like a nice figure. Next, we'll go with Rey, which, no secret, she actually has a lightsaber this time. So here is Rey out of the package. The likeness is very good. Looks a lot like Daisy Ridley. For a 3 3/4 inch figure, that is. Costume looks good. I like the detail that they're putting on these. It's obviously from the Poe Dameron, we've already seen that the detail is better than Force Awakens. No wrist articulation. I did check on that. We have her staff, which looks the same as what we had before. We have this lightsaber, which we've gotten so many times at this point, whether it be with Luke or with Rey. And then we have her gun, and I was trying to remember if we'd gotten this gun before. I guess the Resistance Rey came with this gun, didn't it, last year? I don't remember. I thought that just came with a lightsaber. But it seems like this is the first time we've gotten this gun with a Rey figure as well. And she does have a holster to put that gun in, so it's nice to see. I know I didn't put this out earlier, but all these figures have the little Force Link emblem on the bottom to show us that these are usable with the Force Link. Next, we'll take a look at Finn here. So here we have Finn. Again, very good likeness in the head. His new costume, his shirt's very A New Hope Han Solo. His pants remind me a little bit of Han Solo too, although his boots are definitely a little bit different, as well as his belt. We have more detail than we had before on the jacket, where you can actually see a little bit more in the emblem there. And on the back, we even have the stitching from up where he got cut up by Kylo Ren. So he's kept the same jacket, but got the stitching in the back, which is nice to see. So, a nice figure. I like this better than any of the Force Awakens Finns, just because all the Finns just had that black Stormtrooper outfit underneath. And you really hope that he could put on a different outfit. So it's nice to see something a little bit more for Finn. Finally, from these 6 figures, we have the Stormtrooper here, which I do have a Force Awakens Stormtrooper, so we compare, because there's supposed to be differences anyway between Last Jedi and Force Awakens Stormtrooper. So here is our First Order Stormtrooper. Out of the package, he comes with 2 guns, just like we did with Force Awakens. At first glance, you know, this bears no difference, it seems, to a Force Awakens Stormtrooper. But let's grab a Force Awakens Stormtrooper and compare the two. The helmet sculpt is definitely a little different. Now, I'd heard for Last Jedi, the helmets are supposed to be a little bit longer. I guess the mouths were supposed to be a little wider or something like that. Sort of to mirror the original Stormtroopers, and in fact in the artwork you can see that mouth looks a little bit wider there. Beyond that, the mold looks like it's very similar, if not the same. Like the hands are basically in the same position. The Last Jedi one does have more paint detail. He has white on the inside of his gloves now. Although I will say I think the Force Awakens Stormtrooper has better paint detail on his helmet, whereas this one looks like almost like a custom job. Nope, somebody didn't stay inside the lines too well or something. Maybe it's just the one I got. The stance on the legs is a little different. The Last Jedi one has one foot kind of in front of the other, and the Force Awakens is just kind of a military stance, or parade rest type stance. On the back, you can see we have more of a detail, as we have that black dot now filled in. Beyond that, there's a couple minor details that are different, but it looks like it is, for the most part, the same mold with a new helmet and some new paint detail. So that's my review of these Last Jedi figures. It's pretty exciting, isn't it? I love getting new figures, especially brand new stuff from a brand new movie, stuff we haven't seen before. It's always so much fun with this. And I mean, if you're not finding this in Leak, don't get too bent out of shape. These are all going to be out next Friday. You should be able to start finding this stuff everywhere at that point. So thank you for watching. I will be following this up with another video of the A-Wing and the Probot Darth Vader set that I also picked up, so you can check that out as well. Until then, if you have any comments to leave, please leave them below. And subscribe. I'd love to have you as one of my subscribers. Thank you.